Yeah. So on the start, let's say for instance, you're talking to a person who knows nothing about this topic in specific, like the importance of it. Like, where do you think the pickup for a person who's a newbie and has no knowledge about this she
Okay.
should start to
Are,
understand?
are you talking about net neutrality in specifically?
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, net neutrality is the idea that every bit of data that's transferred over the internet doesn't get discriminated for between who's sending it and who's receiving it. So at the moment, the bits that you get from Facebook and like YouTube and like Twitter, are all like not discriminated anyway. But what some
Okay,
companies are
okay.
trying to do now is because a lot more people are coming onto the internet, it's getting more and more expensive to actually to actually provide the internet as a service. So the ISPs, in order to either save money or make more money, they want to
Okay.
start charging websites or people that use their service to to prioritize how fast their transfer speed is, which is problematic because anybody who's then going to be starting up new websites and stuff are going to be at a disadvantage because the big guys are going to be able to pay those fees and the smaller guys are not going to be able to pay. So the website's going to run slower. So they're going to be
Yeah.
at another disadvantage. So that's the problem with with killing net neutrality.
Oh, okay. No, no, I
Mm.
get it. So the one who has the more money gets to gets to rule in terms of
Exactly. Yeah. That's why breaking net neutrality is a problem because it creates another gatekeeper to future success. So people now would be at an advantage if they started, a long time ago, and people who are going to be starting. Who just started like over the past couple of years and are still building, or people who are going to start in the future, they're going to be disadvantaged. And like in my opinion, that's just ridiculous. Like the people who got big got their way because the internet was so free and open. So
Yeah.
to take that away from people is just to me like it's against our rights and freedoms.
Oh, okay. So it's more harmful in the future than what we can see in the present, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think
Oh,
one of the problems I think that they say is that the internet right now is not treated exactly as a utility, which it should be. But I think that's also causing some problems in the legislation. But like in my opinion, the internet should be treated like the same way the way lights and like water, electricity, and stuff like that should be treated, so that it's regulated in such a way that it's accessible and not too expensive, because it's something that people can use to build businesses on.
okay.
It's not a luxury, and we treat it like luxury here in this country, which is why like data is like so expensive. I feel like that's the reason.
Oh, because it goes back into those traces that you just made. Okay, now with when you brought about on your video, because I'll put the link on the description on my side. When you brought about the SABC, where does that link in?
Well, because this is funny, but I think it fits into the whole picture of how we think of the internet here in South Africa, and because I think we think of the internet as more of a luxury than a utility. Some big
Yeah,
companies they will try to also make regulations, not thinking about what the internet actually is. So the SABC has been struggling financially because of some mismanagement of funds. So they're basically like on the verge of actually closing one of the channels down. I think it might be SABC 3 that might go away if they can't like find the money. And I think that the government even gave them like a task force to like a group of
yeah,
people that are like going to look at the books and like figure out how they're gonna go forward. But what they came out and said like a couple of weeks ago is that because we have the ability, like there's the ability for you to watch TV programs, SABC programs, on the internet, like digitally. So they said, oh, because you can watch TV on the internet, maybe you should also pay TV license for all of the devices that you have that could potentially watch TV. So like cell phones, laptops, tablets, all stuff like that. We could be charged TV license for. But I'm like, I don't watch TV, dude. Like, the last time I was connected to the TV was like 3 years ago. I don't give a shit about your SABC TV. You know, there's no reason why I should be taxed because you guys can't manage your money properly. So that was my whole thing. I'm like, no, like, you can't just make arbitrary taxes. Because like, what about the poor people who have cell phones that, you know, won't even be using it to watch TV or anything? If you would now put a tax on it that's like, people are only using their cell phones for like work or to talk to family or whatever, like, you're going to push them further into poverty if they don't have like the money to pay for that tax. You know, it's ridiculous. You can't push, you know, the burden of your misadventures down onto the people. Of
your failures.
Yeah, you have to take responsibility, and you need to fix yourself. You can't push the responsibility onto the people. And I feel like it's a similar mindset about how they treat the internet, in general. Just because we have the internet, like, what's it got to do with the SABC that people have the internet? Like, like what's it got to do with them? So yeah, that's why I was pretty annoyed.
Now with this one, because it can go back into, if you look at it in depth, it can actually go back to Rika. Remember Rika? Because if you check it, Rika, when we had Rika, what we sort of like have a person with an ID. Now you know what devices they own, because the devices will be registered under their ID and so forth. And so then it will become illegal for you if you're not paying for a specific device, even if you're not using it.
Yeah,
it's just it's actually outrageous that the way they can stretch it, like the long stretch of it, to say you can go from, okay, this person has a cell phone, they got a tablet, they got other devices that they're using for things. So the stretch of it, or how far they can stretch in those terms, it's much more broader, and it's actually it's sickening.
Exactly. like they were like, okay, we messed up, we need more money. Oh, we can get money from the people. Let's put into legislation some way that we can, you know, charge people. And now that we, you know, people are not like, you don't necessarily have to own like, or like you buy a TV license for a house, like over, you know, like yourself. Their thinking is that, oh, we can get more money out of the people if we tax them on every means they could potentially watch TV on. Even though, like, I'm not even using my TV to watch TV. Like, I use my TV to, like, watch YouTube. Like, so, what's it got to do with them? Like, I haven't watched SABC in years. Like, but I still pay that TV license because I have a TV. But like, now you want to make people pay TV license for cell phones. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
does it also go with of course, we're not even discussing the corruption behind it, and them allowing an entire system to collapse the way that it has. I do sort of see, like, also ad revenue might be dying out, because I think SABC just is not the great television that it might have been back then, which is why when you look at like Mzansi Magic, it's taking on the route of your postmodern new kids. Basically, the trends, like the shows are just so exaggerated. It's like not even funny. It's like what they call reality TVs, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of get where you're going at, and the problem is that people's attentions are not on analog / cable TV anymore. You know, it's on the internet,
Yeah.
it's on social media. So the fact that, you know, these television stations, well, these advertisers need to pay like millions of rands to the TV
Yeah.
stations in order to, you know, show their advertisement, whereas they could just make a short video, put it on Facebook, and, you know, Facebook ads are pretty cheap. You can get like 1,000 views or something for like 50 rand. So like, imagine if you put
Yeah.
all of that budget into something like Facebook ads, instead of like putting all of this budget into actually making a TV ad and then paying the SABC to actually put it on their, you know, channel. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably the main problem. That's why I also said like the advent of the internet is also causing the death of the SABC. It's probably not only mismanagement of funds, is that people's attention is not on TV anymore. It's on social media, it's on the internet. And I don't think they were planning.
Do you remember, sorry for getting in between. Did you remember Uber? Do you remember the issue that Uber had?
Sorry, the issue?
Uber, do you remember the issue that Uber had with the cab guys?
Yeah, the cab guys are basically starting to go away because Uber was such a cheaper alternative. And
Now,
it's a
if you look at that,
it's a similar concept, you know.
You go ahead.
It's a similar concept. The technology is improving way too fast for these people to keep up. They're not keeping their eyes on the horizon. You know, they're keeping it right here, like in front of them, and you can't survive. You gotta adapt. Technology is improving way too fast. You gotta keep ahead of the curve. You know, you have to be like, if you have a company now, you have to be using social media marketing. You have to be using influencer marketing, like the old like TV ads and like newspaper ads and radio ads. Like it's gonna start going away. Like attention's on the internet now, so it's definitely a problem they need to address. But you know, just charging the people is not going to solve that problem. It's a management problem.
Maybe that's why you have the issue with the data issue, because if data keeps being expensive, then people don't look for alternatives.
Exactly.
For alternative media, they're not on YouTube and so forth and watching Netflix and all this kind of stuff, basically.
I feel like it kind of sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I feel like all of these big corporations are in on it. You know, they're trying to force the people to stay in old school media. But the thing is, our country is getting left behind because in all the other first world countries, everybody's starting up businesses online now. The old way of doing things is going away. And we're getting like every second that we go by that a citizen in South Africa can't afford internet is a potential business opportunity that's just like going away, you know. And I feel like we're going to get there at some point, but our attitude towards it, or the government's attitude towards it, and the corporation's attitude towards it is kind of ridiculous. And like, I think it's out of like fear as well. Like they're afraid that they're going to get overtaken once people start going online. But instead of like going out in front and meeting the technology, they like try to keep it like in the old school, and that's the problem.
You know, I had a person talking about the boycotting issue with YouTube, and the first point they mentioned was that there is a potential that YouTube is trying to drive to more popular media, like the major media platforms, and sort of like control the entire platform. That way, you don't have Ricky making a comment about something that he doesn't agree with. You don't have PewDiePie making this kind of videos, and you don't have all these different ideas. Basically, they're trying to shut down the different ideas and only support the major platforms. And this is why
the ad boycott.
This might be why that they. Sorry. Yep.
The ad boycott was a very interesting thing, and I think the ad boycott though on YouTube stems from probably the fact that YouTube is not like very profitable at the moment, and YouTube is trying to find ways because video hosting is extremely expensive. Like if you have a website or anything, like you're paying like a lot of money just to have like maybe like 3 gigs. Now imagine like YouTube, who's keeping like thousands, maybe millions of gigs of data, and they have to like maintain and serve that. And a lot of people who are putting up videos on YouTube aren't really making YouTube money. It's costly. So YouTube's trying to find ways of trying to recoup that money. And one of the ways, because they know a lot of the money is still in old school media. It's in all of the television networks or whatever. So YouTube can't really afford to not make the advertisers happy. So when advertisers found that their ads were playing like alongside terrorist videos and stuff, they got pissed, and YouTube had to just cut all advertising until they could figure out like how to appease the advertisers. So that's kind of a similar problem, because the old school guys, like, they're very set in their ways about things like swearing and like talking about certain like topics or whatever. But on the other hand, like, ads also play against like the news, and the news also has like imagery about like terrorists and stuff. So it's like this double thinking between the ads and YouTube and like the users. I think the boycott will come right at some point, especially like when those advertisers, competitors realize that there's just like an open market now, and they can come in and potentially overtake them. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're trying to advertise your products, you need to advertise it to get it out there. And if you wanna like not pay for YouTube and everybody's attention's on YouTube, you're gonna get outsnaked by your competition. So if I was competing in that market, I would have seen this as an opportunity to buy just a bunch of YouTube ads and like try to outsnake the market. I think it will come right at some point, but also like people just don't like seeing ads anymore. Like a lot of people use ad blockers. Some people just like, as soon as they see an ad come on, they'll just like look at their phone and like tweet somebody or like send a WhatsApp message. Like that model of advertising is starting to go away, and the new model of content marketing and influencer marketing is starting to come in. So if people are not thinking about content marketing, like providing people with value first and then asking to either sell a product or sell a service on the back end, or like going to influencers, like not only on YouTube but like places like Instagram and Snapchat, going to them and telling them, okay, I'd like for you to promote my product. I'll give you the product. I'll pay you a certain amount of money, and if both our brands can collaborate on this, we can potentially have two mutual benefit out of this. But they don't want to do that because that's hard. You got to find the influencers. You got to like trust the influencers, and it's like it's difficult if you're coming from the old school, because the old school is like very like everything is like stock standard and done in a certain way, and like there's no swearing and like things like that. So there definitely needs to be a mind shift change, because adverts are like, people don't like adverts. I don't like adverts. The only reason why I stopped using adblock like a couple of years ago, because I became a YouTube content creator. So like I can now sympathize with YouTube content creators, because I am one, and I know that if people are like switching, if I just skip somebody's ad, I'm potentially taking away like money from them. So that's why I don't use ad blocker now. But like I'm like an empathetic guy, so like and I'm also a content creator, but like not a lot of people are content creators. They're just there to view stuff, and they want to view the video. They don't really want to view the ad. So that's I think that's also the problem now. People like they want what they want. It's a very ADD culture now. Like you want what you want now. You don't want to see other things in between.
Yeah, no, totally. And just on this, already these are two different separate videos, which I'm just going to separate mine into two different videos, because there's the YouTube we just talked about, and then there's the first one. Okay, let's just to close up the first one. What would you say is the first thing that let's say for instance, from everything that we just discussed, how the SABC is trying to get this thing, just to confirm something, is this thing with government or is it only the SABC is trying to pitch this?
I think so. I think it's just the SABC with the TV license specifically because they're struggling so much. But I think that.
Okay, no, I get you.
But I think that the mindset is also the wrong way with a lot of the companies and the government with regards to the internet as a whole. And I think this was just like a symptom of it.
Okay. This is what comes out when they don't have the right view of where the current generation is at basically. Okay, and then with YouTube, we're done with that, and we're thinking now, is there like a specific place where are you gonna do an update on this on your side as it progresses?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Are you gonna do an update on this, like as it progresses and so forth?
Am I gonna update? Yeah, it's definitely like my channel talks about geek culture online, and that includes online culture. So whatever happens, if it regards the internet, either internationally or locally, I'm going to be commenting on it because I'm very passionate about internet culture. It's something that's very dear to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I see the potential. Like our country has a lot of potential. There's a lot of talented people. There's a lot of caring people here, and I feel like they're getting set back now because they don't know about the opportunities that exist on the internet. Because you don't YouTube is just not one. It's not just one of them. You can be like a freelance graphic designer. You can be a freelance web designer. There's so much freelance jobs you can do. You can now freelance every one of your skills. You don't have to have a career anymore. You can just outsource your skills. So there's so much options that you can do. Just having the internet in front of you is like just a bag of opportunity. And I feel like a lot of people are just, because of how internet is priced, it's just not available to them. And that's kind of sad to me.
Okay, no, I get the angle. So for all of that, that's what your channel is most based into.
Yeah, because I love geek culture, and to be a geek these days, you have to have access to the internet. Like, if you want to watch a superhero series, you gotta have Netflix. If you want to watch, if you don't understand a certain movie, or if you want to figure out whether a certain movie is worth watching, you gotta go to somebody's YouTube channel and see a review of it. So a lot of things in geek culture are online, so it's all intertwined. So that's why it's important to me.
Actually, I saw the UJ television. It actually streams it streams live on YouTube the entire day.
UJ.
So
they stream live the entire day.
Yeah, the last time I actually checked, let me just open that up to see if it's actually right on right now. But the last time I was checking it during the day it was around in the afternoon and late on. Yes, they stream live 24/7. Even right now they're streaming.
What are they streaming?
It's different content. It's literally television. It's literal television. They have all kinds of
university television.
Yeah. So yes, it's called IntelliLab TV, something like that.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because they actually sent me a message. They were asking if I'm interested on actually having some of my stuff being streamed there. But basically, that also shows you that they realize that television cannot be on those platforms. It's now changing, and they're trying to reach that market, which has totally shifted with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's the idea is definitely coming through. It might take a while in South Africa, and I mean, like, that's like the privilege of being able to go to university in the first place, you know, because when you go to university, you get access to a LAN, and the LAN is always connected to the internet, you know. But people who are not privileged enough to go to the university, I mean, the only access that they have to the internet is like probably like cellular phone, and mobile data is like ridiculously expensive. Like it's crazy how the difference between mobile data and like ADSL. You know, like ADSL, like, I pay less than $1,000 for it, but I get 10 megabytes per second, you know, uncapped. So like I have internet running through my home all of the time, and like that's a conscious decision that I made, you know, because like I prioritize the internet. But other people, like other people are not, they're unable to get an ADSL line. Like if you're living in like, you know, rural area, like you might get mobile signal, but you're not going to be able to get an ADSL line to your shack, you know. So it's the fact the fact that mobile data is so expensive is pushing people down, and I can't understand.
Tell me, is there with uncapped? Is there an uncapped which does not require like a landline?
Not at the moment. That's called naked DSL, and with ADSL that doesn't happen, but it does happen with fiber. So if you have fiber to the home earmarked for your area, then you can get an internet connection that doesn't require a landline. But it's like they have to dig up like your road and like install the pipe and everything, and it's like it's being slowly like doled out throughout the country, but it's very slow. But it's definitely going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper than ADSL because you don't need the landline. And once the infrastructure is up and running, it's going to be much cheaper than ADSL.
Because I'm trying to think, and hey, data is killing me, man. Data is killing me. Like, man, I literally just ran down 100 gig straight down.
I mean, mobile data is going to kill you, bro, because they trying to nickel and dime us on every Facebook status, every tweet, like every WhatsApp message. Like it costs way too much money. Every time I don't like to fill airtime to my phone now because it disappears like in 2 days. Because like every time I leave my house,
like I had 15 gig yesterday. I didn't watch videos, nothing. Right now I'm on 12 gig. I'm trying to look at it, and like I uploaded one video this week, because the other ones I kept them on the channel anyway. But I'm like, where does the data go? And it's just
I don't
ridiculous.
know where it goes. Like even like every time I leave the house, I'm scared, and like if I need to use like data, like if I need to call somebody, like, and I'm away from the Wi-Fi, and then I come back home, and then like, oh, let me just get into bed and watch like some YouTube, and then I get that notification, oh, you have so many gigs, like, and oh damn, I just spent like 50 rand on this, and like it's already gone, and it's like such a waste of my money. So like, I'm like anxious now whether like I'm on like mobile data or like Wi-Fi data, because like my money could be drained at any second, and it's ridiculous. We can't be living with that kind of stress, man. Like it's too much stress for one person.